Something I'm sure everyone can agree with is that their first YouTube video probably sucked.
I really did have high hopes going into this cartoon, especially when I heard the creator was someone who worked on Gravity Falls, but God was I disappointed.
Hopefully we can all see the insane growth from that one video alone. Instead of samishly copying Cartoonchi, I'm pretending to be Faf9 now. Joking aside, I'm sure most people can say that they've improved from their older videos. Most people. Look, I'm going to get straight to the point. Daft Pina is everything I've said on the thumbnail, and I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. For years, there have been multiple people saying this, and admittedly, I was blind to see it. Maybe it was naivete, maybe it was from fear. Nah. I'd be a massive liar to say that I am some perfect demigod who doesn't make mistakes too. With how much I preach about forgiveness, it's pretty obvious I'm a fan of giving people second chances here too, most of the time. But I feel like Daft is taking advantage of people's forgiveness to keep doing the exact same things he was originally criticized for years ago. He has manipulated people and situations, played puppet master in some of the worst situations I've witnessed in this community, and outright lied about creators. He lied about me actually, kind of. Somewhat. He showed my video on screen, okay guys? This video is really bad, but we're about 18 minutes too early for that discussion. This is my video on Daft Pina, the real Daft Pina. But so I don't get cancelled for tax evasion, you should probably subscribe to my channel because I also have a Patreon if you want to give me your precious hard-earned money so I can spend it on PS5s. I have a Discord if you want to interact with yours truly and his merry band of terrible moderators, and a Twitter where I retweet VTuber occasionally, and sometimes tweet this insanely controversial take. That's it for the funny ad section, back to the video. Daft Pina really started to gain notoriety when he made his review series on Storytime Animation's channel.
She started over a year ago, and if that's all she can do to improve, I think Chili Panda should stop drawing, then just try something else.
Now, out of context, this makes Daft look like a massive telling an animator to stop animating instead of telling them how to improve. But it only gets worse. Daft Pina decided to make a video on Jaden animations, and I need you all to get real close to me while I say this. This video was bad. Listen, I know it was many years ago, but I promise this is very important. So a short rundown on this god-awful video. Daft spent 20 minutes gossiping over Jaden's old NSFW. He then said that her making a video about her mental health was a way to manipulate her audience and incite them to harass another YouTuber, and that her mental health wasn't real.
On a related note, after watching all of her videos, I came across this one. It's called Why I Don't Have a Face Reveal. Now, there is not enough time in the video for me to actually talk about it, so I plan on making a video just about that one alone. And let me tell you, it's gonna be a long one.
I push myself so hard to get better at everything, and I do improve, but it's still not enough for me. The bar keeps getting higher before I can grab it, like climbing a staircase where the top keeps getting further away and the ball and chain attached to your ankle.
Jesus Christ, chill out. Daft spends the majority of his first video on Jaden nitpicking, criticizing every aspect of her YouTube channel. There is a part where Daft criticizes her for getting help with animation.
And of course she still uses the generic animation style of every animated storyteller, but I can say she puts a little more effort into her videos, and I will commend her for that. I mean, look at this beautiful animation right here. Oh, wait a second, that animation credit goes to FlashJom as he apparently animated a few bits in that video. What's even the point if as an animator you're just letting any old person animate your own videos?
Yes, because everyone should solo animate or something. I don't really understand this point at all. I could talk about Daft criticizing Jaden for not doing commissions.
The rest of the description is pretty normal, quirky personality type stuff, except for here when she talks about not doing commissions. That's probably because she's making all that money from her Patreon and YouTube videos. Or maybe she doesn't like drawing for other people.
For not coloring her characters and background and how that makes her lazy.
Oh look, I'm in the white void again. You know what that means. That means that Jaden hardly draws her backgrounds. And like I mentioned before, the majority of her video is just all white. And an even worse crime than not drawing anything at all is using a real-life image for a background. Like if I did this or this. It just looks bad.
Randomly going on about her merch and how she would be unrecognizable through it and how it could count as self-promotion. Okay, look, you get the point. This entire video is reaching so hard to try and paint Jaden as a lazy, unoriginal animator who is an edgelord apparently. I guess you can't talk about your mental health on the internet anymore. Then he starts talking about Jaden animation and SFW, and I'm so over this. Daft mentioned that he didn't have enough time to talk about Jaden's face reveal. And lads at home, if you thought this video was bad, the other one he made is outright evil. The first 2 minutes are Daft criticizing Jaden's sketchy art style in the video, talking about her eating disorder.
The tone of her video is depressing, and that's on purpose. Now, there's a clear separation between her videos and their art styles. And as for her art style, she only uses the colors blue and black. And as for the line quality, it feels less structured, as it looks more like scribbles rather than a formidable drawing.
The entire reason it's like this is because Jaden is trying to explain how she feels through her art.
There's a lot of symbolism in her face reveal video that is supposed to tug at your heartstrings and make you feel pity for her. And as we talked about before, her art style in the video is less structured than her normal videos, and kind of feels like scribbles on paper. This is supposed to represent how damaged she feels in her life. And it kind of looks like something a moody teenager would draw on DeviantArt after someone said they looked ugly.
Wait, what? The entire video is spent trying to convince viewers that Jaden is manipulating her audience in any way possible, from her art style to the lack of music choice, the sounds, and I just want to know, how can someone pour their heart into their audience about something that has been killing them, and you turn around and say that she's faking, and how she's trying to incite harassment?
Well, in the video, she never mentions who that person was. Now, why do you think that? Maybe it's because she still wants to work with that person in the video. Or just by not saying their name, that person would get bullied even more after this video is released.
Off, dude. I just want to leave this video alone. It sucks. Daft said so himself as he apologized. The only reason why I bring this up is because Daft has barely changed from this video. He just got better at hiding it. Sorry, it got a bit too serious there. If anyone thought that Daft had changed after all these years, let me break that bubble for you. Because Daft's little saga with the odd ones out saw him display the exact same behavior he did in Jalen's video. Now, I'm going to be using the original version of this video because a whole 7 minutes got cut for reasons I will explain later on. The video actually starts off pretty good. The odd ones out had recently gotten himself into controversy over the decision he made with advertisements on an app he signed off on.
However, recently, James caught fire for his hypocrisy over scamming mobile games, considering he complained about them in a video and then he just made one.
But they're only disguised as free because they bombard you with ads. Okay, I guess I do that too, but what do you want from me?
Which got me thinking about my past with him, and also his older content.
Oh no! I genuinely forgot this was here, but a small history lesson for all of those who might not know. Daft, before becoming a funny internet commentator, was actually a tracer. He's done a lot of stuff, but his main defense is... So why is he digging into the past of others? It almost feels like hypocrisy. We are less than a minute in. How has this video already lost its head so fast? This video starts off with Daft airing out really minor stuff for no reason. To pad the runtime, by the way.
Moving on to his opinions on Leafy is Here.
It's kind of like a Leafy video, but instead of video game footage, it's me drawing, and instead of a mentally handicapped person talking, it's just me.
Okay, that was good. I'll give it to him. I mean, what? That's bad. We finally get into the actual topic of this video where Daft, and I swear to God I'm not making this up, tries to claim that James, the odd ones out, this man is racist. Firstly by pointing out the fact that James wants to make a joke about the BLM acronym.
Wait, didn't James make a BLM post in 2020?
I don't really understand Daft's point here. I feel like I'm gonna say that a lot today, but I don't think making a joke about an acronym is the same thing as making a joke about a cause. Nor do I think that would invalidate his support of BLM. After a lot of setup, Daft shows testimony of one of the odd ones out's old friends, where they accuse him of a lot of really messed up stuff. Daft's guest speaker also claims the odd ones out likes to argue about race, when it can be assumed that these two are having a discussion about it.
However, over time, she stated that James only used their friendship to improve his work and prove he wasn't racist. Dangle links a Facebook conversation, the one mentioned previously, and wow, James really likes to argue about race.
It just seems like he doesn't understand something and was explaining it from his point of view. The other ones, I'm calling him James from now on, by the way. James was clearly talking about a website's reasoning behind the movie being racist and not the actual reason. Are you that illiterate? Daft and Co then hilariously take James out of context.
He then goes on to say that he doesn't understand what's wrong with Uncle Remus from Song of the South, a film he never saw? Is James really that arrogant? Oh, then he compares it to Jar Jar Binks for some reason. Didn't think that when a person of color tells you something is bad, you double down with some weird analogy.
Let's read the whole DM off. And I don't get what's wrong with Uncle Remus from Song of the South thing. I haven't seen it, I'm going off what the website says. They say it's really bad because he doesn't talk about slavery. I think that's just looking for ways to say that Disney is racist now. Yeah, so what do you have to say? Listen, okay? If a POC thinks something is racist, a white person cannot tell them that it isn't. Okay, now we're getting into an argument here. Okay, how? Okay. As a POC myself, I must say, that point was shit! As you can clearly see, this person was telling James that if a POC person tells you something is racist, you can't disagree as a white person. As stated earlier, this is so dumb. Being a POC doesn't give you the ability to decide what is and isn't racist. Why are you agreeing with them?
Halfway through the conversation, he shares a photo of himself for whatever reason, as if he hadn't just tried to say the existence of Sebastian from The Little Mermaid was racist. The conversation ends abruptly, possibly because he noticed she wasn't really responding to him and then asked for a critique on his comic. This whole conversation feels like James saying words at her and trying to reinforce his own beliefs without having an actual argument.
What is bro on about? Reading the DMs, it's clear that they were having a discussion, and when James realized this was turning into an argument, he tried to change the subject. What do you mean he was talking at them? That is literally not what was going on. I don't want to be here all day going after clip after clip after clip, so James's response is up next, and his main defense was that he was an idiot high schooler. Didn't know how his actions affected her. She didn't accept it and said that James should apologize for using her, apparently because she brought him an art program back in his Tumblr days. He now has to thank her for his success on YouTube now? Honey, listen, I'm not gonna thank the first person who pirated Premiere Pro for me as my reason for my success. You might be the reason he started, but his success after that point has absolutely nothing to do with you clout demon. The guest speaker in Daft's video also says that being 19 isn't a good excuse, as if nearly a decade hadn't passed. Becoming an adult doesn't immediately make you have stuff figured out. You don't even stop developing until your mid-20s. People can always grow and change. James being ignorant to a lot of these things because of where he grew up doesn't make him racist for not understanding something. Chill out. Huh?
After seeing all this, you might be typing in the comments, is James racist? From the fact that he doesn't understand why certain concepts might be offensive to people, i.e. Uncle Remus from Song of the South, the fact that he'd rather sweep under the rug his uncomfortable past rather than acknowledging it means that he hasn't fully come to terms with what he's done.
999, what's your emergency?
Hi, yes, hello, I'm watching someone dig their own grave. What do I do?
Have you tried talking him down or coming to, give him some kind of aid or see if there's anything that you can do to stop the situation from furthering?
Yeah, I'm making a video on him.
You're making a video on him?
Mm-hmm.
What's the emergency?
There's also a bit in Daft's videos where he tries to paint James as a bad person for voicing a black character. The guy voices every single character outside of a few collabs.
While watching this, I thought, hey, why didn't James get someone else to voice the part?
Sorry James, but the one time you voiced a woman in that one video 6 years ago makes you misogynistic for not giving that role to a woman.
After seeing all this, you might be typing in the comments, is James racist? From the fact that he doesn't understand why certain concepts might be offensive to people, i.e. Uncle Remus from Song of the South, the fact that he'd rather sweep under the rug his uncomfortable past rather than acknowledging it means that he hasn't fully come to terms with what he's done. The fact that there's a prominent number of jokes in his videos where the punchline is the race of said person, and even when apologizing to Dangle, it makes it seem like he doesn't know why she's upset. But you're saying, wait, it just sounds like he's ignorant about non-white people. Whoa, you also read the definition of racism? And please—
You actually just lied. James doesn't fit either definition. His lack of understanding doesn't fit in the first definition. And the second doesn't make any sense either because he doesn't have a take on non-white people because he doesn't know anything. He was quite literally too ignorant for the definition to apply. I'm gonna have a f***ing migraine, I swear to God. The rest of the video is spent trying to make assumptions about James' friendship with another YouTuber because he doesn't interact with him publicly or share share a post James made on Twitter, even though he did on his community tab post with 3 million subscribers. Okay. And I just don't understand why this is here other than to try and make James look worse for no reason. Daft also tries to say that James doesn't give his girlfriend defining features so that if they ever break up, he doesn't have to take down the video.
Come to think of it, in like a recent video, James talks about his current girlfriend. I bring this up as if they broke up. Would he delete the video? Is that why she isn't named? So he can just keep the video up if they broke up?
Nah, I guess privacy doesn't exist. Wow, guys, I'm starting to get this idea that Daft Pina might be a little bit bad faith. James actually left a comment under the video that tore into Daft. Remember that point where Daft had an issue of James removing things about making a public post about it? Well, you're probably wondering where Daft's post about these removed 7 minutes went. It doesn't exist. But that's not all the controversy about these 7 minutes either. Turns out Daft is a massive throbbing hypocrite. Wowie zowie, who would have seen this coming? So James's old friend explicitly told Daft not to put a sponsor on the video where he talked about this stuff. Or just to have them in the video at all. Again, I really appreciate your willingness to share my story, but you're not the right vessel for it to be shared through. Within the video, we'll only touch upon what was said within your Tumblr posts. Not a full in-depth video focusing on that. I can direct people to the Tumblr post to hear your words, but understanding that James is a 16 million sub channel, we most likely aren't the ones affected by his actions behind the scenes, and bringing this to most people might allow for others to come forward. Please respect my decision to not be featured in any way in your videos. Thanks for your time. Now remember earlier?
She states that their friendship ended in 2015 when James was asking if he should take a gig or not. That gig was voicing a black character. She told him he shouldn't, and he said he was going to anyway. Of course, many will point out that it's in James's every right to voice a black character, and that anyone can voice anyone. But for this case, a close friend of his told him not to, and he didn't care.
Wow, it's almost like you didn't care about the supposed victim of racism. Something you'd accuse James of. Were you projecting? Before I talk about Daft's second video on James, I want to talk about Daft's leaked DMs.
Because of what you said, I will never work with you or watch your videos, as the videos I've watched have been extremely disrespectful and biased AF, and when you inevitably leak this DM, let me explain to your audience why I feel this way. Ooh, he's gonna explain why he feels this way.
And then he goes on to list his grievances, starting with my Jaden video, which this conversation took place after I apologized to Jaden, but I guess he forgot.
Wait, so your defense against him being mad at your Jaden videos say that you apologized a year ago? I don't want to use that funny H word again, but why is it okay for you but not him?
You were trying to find Rebecca's home address.
Which was actually a previous conversation I had with James, showing him the email, the one saying that I was going to film at her studio. But I guess he forgot.
While James did get your intention wrong, I think he's still mad at you for wanting to go to someone else's studio to record for a bit. How is that not weird? I need to remind you all that a large majority of the stuff that Daft is talking about is over 5 years old. He makes this entire video holding James's past over his head before saying that James isn't letting things go. Alright, cut the cameras guys, this AI is getting out of hand because you cannot convince me that this guy is a real human being. Oh, my fault, original gangster. So for a rundown so far, Daft has misconstrued arguments from other creators, taking the least charitable interpretation of creators. He uses non-falsifiable evidence to feed into people's bias on creators, trampled on the feelings of others while criticizing someone for doing exactly that, lied about creators and has showed nothing but bad faith when critiquing these two storytime animators. I will say that not all of Daft's videos are like this. I of all people can forgive a few blemishes, but the dude is straight up lying about creators at this point and has shown no signs of improvement, because he still does this to this day. Hey, we're not there yet. Ethereal is a Twitter artist with a lot of followers. They caught the scorn of Daft mainly because they were saying slurs on Discord and being edgy. Oh, and like transphobia too. I will not defend Ethereal's horrendous takes on all of these things, but I do want to bring up that the use of the N and F word. If you don't know what those two words are, just load up some CSGO and come back after 10 minutes. But Ethereal is a black gay person, so like a whole 11 minutes of this video are entirely invalid. Also, earlier on, the guest speaker also said that James is in the wrong of arguing with a minority about racism. Why is this now okay then? But yeah, the rest of the shit that Daft was talking about is valid. my video about Daft Pina doxing someone, well, he made a response, and it was one of the worst videos I have ever seen. However, here is what I will say. I personally should have focused more on the catfishing or made an individual video about it, because like I stated in my original video, it is still awful. However, Daft, the only reason a lot of attention was on you because of how poorly you handled the entire thing. And the points you used against the people were laughable, like this.
I see there are a lot of people saying this should have and could have been handled privately, and while there are things that should be handled privately that people have absolutely no business butting into.
Now, I'm not even exaggerating when I say this, but this singular point invalidates nearly every single video on Daft's channel. You're a commentary channel. You and Vidish Joe speculated on the condition of young Dawn's family and whether Dawn is a good father. And yet, people calling Daft out for doxing someone is something we shouldn't put our heads into. I'm not even going to talk about the LS Mark stuff yet, but I find it very ironic that people calling you out is too far. I'm not even saying it's a good point either and that Daft is just a hypocrite because of it. In what universe would people not comment on someone being a Twitter artist? Okay, look, before I spend the next 15 minutes going on about every video that Daft has invalidated with this point, I'm going to move on. We are less than a way into this video and it's already broken. What are they doing? Funny how you show my video knowing full well I talked about the Tina Fate stuff as well. Yes, your name was in the thumbnail. I want money too, dude. But don't act like I completely glossed over everything they did, which isn't true. While people should have focused a lot more on the David stuff, Daft trying to justify his literal doxing of someone with every tactic possible is stupid. Someone might make a video on this in the future. I'm not saying names, but hey, it could be happening. Ooh. But now, lads, now I'm going to talk about the LS Mark situation. The exact moment Daft's lying, schemy, snaky actions were on display to everyone, even his own bloody friends. Now, originally Just Stop made a video regarding some very private things regarding the YouTuber LS Mark. I'd be surprised if it wasn't about him, the section's named after him. Basically, the original video was terrible. There was a lack of evidence for a lot of claims made. It pried into the lives of others far too much to the point where I'd say that this might be the contender for the most terminally online thing of 2023. Lads, the year just started. A thought a lot of people had, however, was whether or not other people had a hand in the video's creation. And by other people, I mean Daft Pina, because look at the title of this video. After Just Stop became the talk of the commentary community, it came out that Daft had actually had involvement in the video, but didn't say a word. Now, why is that? Just Stop said that the video was his idea, which I'm inclined to believe, but Daft tried his damnedest to f everything up. We see a lot of the behavior I've talked about in this video, with Daft wanting to record a call and hide the fact by mixing in with a longer statement.
First came the call, which should have been the end of it straight up, but the entire setup was a massive mistake. At first, I'd thought about going into it more naturally without Daft present, stating my concerns to them genuinely, and being straightforward about who I'd talked to and why. However, Daft wanted to use it as an opportunity to probe for information we hadn't had confirmed yet, and insisted on having the call recorded with pre-made questions to ask and a group of friends to join in. But he also wanted to be real sneaky and underhanded about saying it would be recorded, mixing the mention of it in offhandedly with a longer statement, so if the person didn't address the recorded bit, it would technically count as consent, as they live in a two-party consent state.
Daft wanting to bring in a bunch of people who didn't actually have any evidence for the claims they were making about this person.
Speaking on the production of the video itself, it went through several drafts, rewrites, and edits. This is partially because, at first, the script was far less organized, less accredited, and way more venti, so it needed heavy retooling as more evidence came about. Daft and others would also add stories from people we talked to that couldn't be evaluated as anything more than hearsay, as they had no proof, and when I would try to say as much in the script, he'd stop me and go, "Don't say it like that. People will deconstruct and focus on it if you do."
And because it's Daft Pina, he tried to bring his own drama into something so someone else could handle it. He decided it would be a good idea to fill the section of character attacks.
I could also see that Daft wanted to make a large portion of the video about his personal grievances with another creator, Sunny TM, who was tangentially involved with the duo. You might know, if you saw the video, that the section on him doesn't really mention Daft at all, other than briefly at the very beginning. That's because I talked him out of including a 6-minute summary of their interactions together, as it was completely unnecessary and petty compared to what I had found in relation to Dubus Goobus.
Even when so many people were telling Braxton that this was a terrible video and a terrible idea, you had this little manipulated Daft trying to convince him that it was the correct move and not to talk with LS Mark about this.
But I didn't quite see how I'd messed up yet, so I went to Daft and the others for advice, and they told me to keep the video up, giving giving all the explanations in the world for why. I was in a group call with around 7 people, and they all said the same thing, which just confused me even more about what to do. I was in panic mode. Then the person I'd made the video about messaged me saying they wanted to call, and Daft told me not to. So, in a panic state, I just kept texting the person what Daft told me to say.
These two people were Daft's friends, not work associates, not even YouTube buddies. These two were genuinely, honestly his friends, and he uses one of them to get content regardless of the consequences, while showing a severe disregard for privacy, and manipulates the other into a situation where all the attention was pointed at him. He received all the scorn for an idea that he was strong-armed into. And where was Daft while Just Stop was being blasted? Nowhere to be seen. He couldn't even be to defend one of his friends from something that he had a part in. This is how Daft is willing to treat his close friends, people he's known for years. And knowing that, no wonder he's treated people he doesn't know so terribly. He's lied about other creators, manipulated situations so others would fight his battles, and has showed nothing but bad faith multiple times throughout his career. But sure, whatever. I shouldn't be butting in or whatever according to you and Joey. But whether you're an associate of Daft, an enemy or viewer, or just know the dude in passing, don't you think it's a tad messed up that he does all of these horrible, terrible things and gets off nearly scot-free every time? I mean, with the whole iTunes thing, he had a 3-hour interview and only used 6 minutes of it. Daft's channel has somewhat been on the decline in recent months, and I'd be a lie to say that I didn't think it was deserved. Rhythm Man tore Daft a new one, and he actually watched that video too, and he still hasn't changed. The dude practically pointed out every single issue people had with him, and at that time he still hadn't acknowledged it. Someone like that shouldn't be taken seriously in my opinion. But as I say every single video, draw your own conclusions about Daft. I'm just a random 17-year-old on the internet. Thanks for watching my video. My links are in the description. I really hope Daft changes for the better. See ya, lad.